Good evening, people. I'm sure you're all very excited to wrap up our Chapter 8 notes over photosynthesis. When you watch this, it will be the morning, but right now I just got home from my basketball game and have found the Cardinals to be losing. I've been sporting my Fear the Squirrel headband tonight in my game, and they're just not making it happen, but we'll see. It's 5-0 right now. We still got time to come back. Now, back to photosynthesis. We need to talk about where this is actually occurring, and that is inside a chloroplast, inside a plant cell, which there are many chloroplasts that this reaction is occurring in. Within the chloroplast, there are sac-like photosynthetic membranes called thylakoids. These thylakoids are arranged in stacks known as grana. If we were talking about a singular stack, then we would call it a grana. They contain clusters of chlorophyll, other pigments, and photosystems, which are just proteins that are able to capture the energy of sunlight. There are actually two stages in the photosynthesis reaction. The light dependent, meaning that it is dependent upon light in order to occur, does take place within those thylakoid membranes. The light independent reactions, also known as the Kelvin cycle, take place in the stroma, or the region outside the thylakoid membrane. So the stroma is very similar to what the cytoplasm is to a general cell. The stroma is like the cytoplasm surrounding a thylakoid. So to get a better look, here is a diagram of a chloroplast. And this is one single granum. Each one of these stacks here is a singular thylakoid in which this reaction, or the light-dependent reaction, is taking place. You can see the light is coming in. Water is also to make a product of oxygen. In the light-independent reaction, remember the Kelvin cycle, this is where the CO2 reactant comes in and we get a product of sugars. Now, as we continue on in the notes, we're going to talk about these two separately and then put them back together again. So, sunlight is actually what is exciting the electrons within the chlorophyll, and when these electrons gain a great deal of energy, they get excited, they build all that up, and then they need to move along. But they need a special carrier in order to move along the electron transport chain. One of these carrier molecules is a compound known as NAD+. The conversion of NAD+ into NADPH is one way in which some of the energy of sunlight can be trapped in chemical form and then transferred to the light-independent reaction to use to power that. So this is a very complex diagram showing you the light-dependent reaction. I'm going to try to walk you through it. Right here, you have light coming in to the chloroplast. This is photosystem 2, remember, one of those proteins that's able to capture sunlight. Notice the water that is already in the plant, so we have some water molecules here. They split. They split into these electrons, hydrogen ions, and then oxygen. And this oxygen is one of the products of photosynthesis. We use that oxygen to breathe on a daily basis. Now, these electrons that are produced here are going to move along this electron transport chain. Once they reach photosystem 1, more light comes in to power those electrons and keep them energized or to keep them excited, because it starts to die down as you move along that chain. So some of these electrons are donated to create that NADPH electron carrier. Notice that the NADPH is going to move on to aid in the light-independent reaction. ATP is also created at this point with the donation of those hydrogen ions and those electrons to be passed on, again, to power that light-independent reaction. And remember, this is all going on in a single thylakoid. Notice it's labeled here, a thylakoid space, and we're talking about one single thylakoid up here if you look at the big overview diagram of the inside of a chloroplast. So, to wrap up light-dependent reactions, they require light. This reaction is why plants need light to grow, and they use energy from light to produce oxygen gas, ATP, and NADPH. The ATP and NADPH are going to be used to aid in the light-independent reaction. The oxygen gas is released as a product in which all organisms use to respire. So let's talk about the Calvin cycle now, which again is the light-independent reaction. It uses the ATP and NADPH from the light-dependent reaction to make the other product of photosynthesis, which are high-energy sugars. So the Calvin cycle does not require light to occur. That is why it's called light-independent and sometimes the dark reactions. Here is a close-up of the Calvin cycle. I'm not too particularly concerned with you memorizing this diagram. Just know that carbon dioxide does enter the cycle in order for the light-independent portion of this reaction to occur. And when we finish off, our product is going to be the carbohydrate or the sugar part of the product of this photosynthetic reaction. So, comparing the two reactions, we got a diagram here, again, an up-close picture of a chloroplast. Your light-dependent reaction, right here, notice water is our reactant, and then oxygen is our product. We also have the NADPH being made and the ATP being made to power the light-independent reaction. The light-independent reaction must have carbon dioxide coming in to power it, and then again our result is sugars for our product. Now, there are several factors that affect photosynthesis from occurring or not. One of those factors is there water available? A shortage of water can slow or even stop photosynthesis. Remember, we need water to help us keep continuing to add electrons to the electron transport chain when water is split into its positive and negative charges. So plants that live in dry conditions, such as desert plants and conifers, they do have a waxy coating on their leaves that helps reduce water loss and helps them keep that water over a longer period of time, since it's not available as much as it is in other areas. Now, temperature is also a big factor. Temperatures above or below 0 degrees Celsius and 35 degrees Celsius may slow down photosynthesis. Remember, 0 degrees Celsius is the freezing point. 35 degrees Celsius is well above room temperature, which would be like 70 to 75 degrees for us. So at very low temperatures, photosynthesis could stop entirely. And plants at these temperatures can carry out photosynthesis, but only on sunny days. Alright, and that is the end of Chapter 8, Photosynthesis. Again, if you need to go back and see anything or go back and cover anything that I went too fast on, please feel free to replay and pause the video as you need to. Thanks and have a great day.